Hello and welcome to the show. I'm back on Project Cars 2 today, going to be taking the Zonda Revolucion around the Nurburgring, but of course it has to be covered in snow. Now in real life I actually did a brief bit of research, didn't realise just quite how fast the Revolucion had gone around the Nurburgring. Apparently it did a 6-minute 30 lap time, of course, that in good conditions. Hell, that's only 19 seconds away from the outright lap record. So this car is unbelievably fast. It is unbelievably fast around the Nurburgring. However, we're going to be trying to deal with snow, and its target is to beat a little Audi. The S1 with a lap time of 9:22.5 is our, well, still series benchmark, and the Zonda is going to have to do well to beat that because, well, the Audi all-wheel drive, the Audi with much in the way of traction, and the Zonda not so much. On the plus sides for the Zonda, well, it does have some 800 horsepower, which means when we get to that straight, that power is going to be very, very useful. There is also no turbo lag to worry about here. We don't have massive twin turbos, we don't have ridiculous boost, unlike the Sauber and unlike the Sierra Cosworth, in which I just could barely use the throttle for a large portion of the lap. In the Zonda, the power is a lot smoother, the power is a lot more accessible, which is good. It's going to be needed. But there are still 800 horsepower trying to escape out the rear wheels in a car that is incredibly light on a track that is incredibly dangerous at the best of times, let alone when there is no grip. No grip at all. Now, of course, we do have the car on the snow tyres, as the game will put it on, but goddamn are we asking a lot of this Zonda. If everything goes right, I think we could see this beat the Audi. I do think it might have the performance. The V8 supercar not spun, I think that may well have beaten the Audi, and this should be better. It has more downforce, it has more grip, it has more speed down the straight. I am hoping I can be, mate, I say a little braver with the car. You've got to be very, very careful with bravery in these sorts of conditions. The faster you go, the more downforce you have, and therefore the more grip you have. But you're still on snow, and the Nürburgring is still a fearsome circuit. Oh, like that, for example. There are a lot of corners here where you simply can't go fast enough to generate the downforce needed, and then you're relying on, well, I say all mechanical grip, of which there is little. Yes, the ice tyres and snow tyres, whatever, make up, help a lot in terms of the grip, but still, I mean, you are very much driving on a knife edge around here. Now, some of these corners we are probably going to be okay to carry a little bit more speed, and the good news so far, from what I'm seeing in this Zonda, I'm liking the balance. I'm liking the balance of this car. I mean, it's a teensy bit oversteery, but unlike some of the cars that we have seen, if the back end lets go, it doesn't let go fully. There is a chance, half a chance, to catch the car. Well, I'm not so confident about that corner, but we are through it at a decent amount of speed. Now, it doesn't feel very dramatic. When driving the cars around in these conditions, it really doesn't feel, might not look massively dramatic. You can see on the throttle trace on the speedo how careful I'm having to be with this, and this is probably the most aggressive I've been able to be with a car in this series so far, certainly outside of the Audi, which was a case of you got round the corner, launched it flat out because it had the all-wheel drive traction to be okay. This is, yeah, this is pretty good actually. I will give the Zonda that much. This is pretty good. It's actually deploying its power nicely. I can be, oh, this is where it's probably going to get a bit sketchy. Once we get into these real slow speed areas, I definitely don't want first gear through all of that. The lower speed stuff will be dodgy. There will be absolutely no downforce to help this car, and a lot of power trying to escape from the lower gears. Now, we could probably be a little bit braver through there, but when you get one lap to try and set a lap time, there is a certain risk versus reward that goes on. You push this car too hard and you have a spin, that's costly. Maybe you lose half a second into a corner somewhere. God, maybe we lose a little bit more, but that's a lot less than you lose in a spin. I think I might have downshifted slightly dodgily there, that locked up the back of the car. We caught it. That's perhaps the big difference with this Zonda so far. It feels like I can catch it a bit better when things go awry. If things went awry in the Sauber, you were in the wall. The V8 supercar was relatively catchable, but in the end that caught me out as well. That was going like a downhill section that caught me out. This does feel like a decent car to be able to catch when it starts going a little bit squiffy as we roar our way out of the hairpin. I can actually get, all the way through the rev range, which is nice to be able to do, unlike with the last couple of cars. It's kind of one of the reasons why I picked the Zonda. I know there are many requests for vehicles. I wanted to drive a nice, naturally aspirated car. I wanted to see what one of these could do. Got to be careful on this hill. Very easy to spin the wheels as you go up over the crest. We are okay in the Zonda. Can we start getting towards that full throttle? I still are not brave enough for full throttle down here. Still moving around a lot under power. We think got to be very, very careful with the whole braking, of course. Brakes phenomenally powerful on this car, but and it is a big but. You're on snow. You lock them up, and you are in a lot of trouble. Can we get away without braking through here? Now we are going a bit faster. We should have. So we're going a bit faster. We're doing 120 on the snow. We should have some downforce working quite nicely, but if the tyres run out of grip here, doesn't matter how much downforce we've got, we'll still spin around in a circle. The front ends of the cars tend to have quite a lot of bite. It's what the back of the car wants to do that's the scary thing. Again, though, we've been 120, 130 all the way down there. I'm not trusting this corner. Again, you've got to be wary of bumps. You've got to be wary of getting on the power out the other side. That was only about 80, 90 miles an hour, and we started having issues. All it takes is a bump to unsettle the car, and you will go round. You will be pointing in the wrong direction again, bringing the car down. I'm very, very impressed with how well this deals with it. I mean, it's a huge, huge amount of power in the Zonda. 800 horsepower is a massive, okay, not quite as much as the Sauber. We're talking about 200 horsepower more than the V8 supercar, than the Sierra, probably 300 horsepower more than the Sierra. It's an astronomical level of power. And it's actually dealing with it. Oh, bloody hell, that nearly went. But aside from that bit, it's actually dealing with it very, very well here in the snow. I was not expecting it to be, I say this easy, I should never ever say that while tackling this sort of course. You know what the curse of the commentator is like. However, oh, we're going to clonk. Well, we pinged off the wall. It's only a slight graze. I'm okay with that. Again, as I've said, with this series, I don't care about invalidated laps. That cost me a little bit of time. There was nothing gained from any of that. It's not a huge amount of time. That was not, it's not a spin. We've had a couple of slightly scary moments, and this is where we've got to be very, very careful now. We're coming into this much more tricky section where we just can't carry speed. Can't carry speed through a lot of these corners. They're not fast enough that you can really get away with the downforce working, so you've got to be extra super duper careful through here. This is where the V8 supercar went for a spin over the crest. We have got through almost went in the Zonda. That gear change, got to be so careful with the throttle. And again, this is me playing around at mostly half throttle here. I can't be a lunatic with the throttle because, well, you'll just spin. You're seeing what half throttle's doing to the car, the way it snaps around. So yeah, you've got to be very careful. Got to be very, very careful indeed. I really don't want to hit the curbs if I can help it. Again, it's the whole bouncing the car around. That's chucked it in with a lot of speed. Again, you can see the front ends of these cars have all seemed to have way more grip than the rear. So not how I like my cars to drive, not how I want my cars set up. You turn into these corners, you kind of think it's okay for a little while, for a second, and then all of a sudden the back end's wanting to come and say hello. It not quite got a mind of its own, the back of this car, but it's quite scary to say the least. Now gently brings it down, under brakes into these next couple of corners, and then we've got that long straight. Now this is where the Zonda should make up time, while the Audi will have the traction out of certainly the slower corners. The Zonda has the power. The Zonda will have the straight line speed. Now it won't quite be up to its usual top speed with the ice tyres fitted. The friction, the rolling resistance if you like, is massive, so the car will be slower than a standard one, than a normal one, but it's still going to be mighty fast. What are we doing time wise? We've got a minute to get around to the start finish line. It might be doable in this Zonda, I think. If we don't have a spin in the final few corners, I think the Zonda's looking good. I don't know whether it can do a sub 9 minute lap. Might be asking a bit much of it. Sorry about my voice. We're up to 178 miles an hour. Can we do 180 before the turn? Quite possibly. Now, I don't really want to be doing 180 through here, but we should have grip. We should have downforce to make it around that turn. It was still above 170 miles an hour for the Zonda, but we've really got to bring it down for these next couple of corners, because while, I mean, the downforce, the grip might be there for the first part, you've then got to bear in mind the braking performance for these next bits, and this is where it gets very, very slow. Patience is required. It's actually going to be very, very close, I think, between this and the Audi. Come on, Zonda, get some traction, fire it out towards the line. It's going to do it. So 9:15 from the Zonda. God damn, was that I say that was a tough drive. In many ways it wasn't as bad as it could have been. It wasn't a savage car in the same way the Sauber Mercedes was, or the same way that the Sierra was. If things started going a smidge wrong with it, you could catch it. If things were going a smidge awry, you could get away with it. I mean, if things start going quite badly wrong, it's on snow, it's on ice, you're not going to recover that because it's a stupidly powerful track monster. However, there were a couple of moments where things were starting to go a little bit sketchy. Yeah, we pinged off a wall a tiny bit, and there were a couple of rather scary sideways moments. But it was catchable in this, and in some of the other cars that we have seen go down here, you probably wouldn't have been able to save it. Not in the same way, and not with the same ease, and not with losing as minimal time as that. So, yeah, that's quite impressive going for Zonda Revolucion. And it will become our fastest car. The Zonda will go to the top of the table. It does beat that Audi hatchback. Okay, it's 7 seconds faster, but perhaps I should say only 7 seconds faster, considering the gap between the Audi and the Sauber was considerably more. I mean, sure, the all-wheel drive hatchback is always going to be fast around here. That's the whole premise of the series. It's funny, these powerful, fast race cars can't beat a little Audi hatchback. However, that all being said, yeah, I mean, the difference between them, I thought this was going to go fastest. If anything, I thought it might have smashed the Audi by a little bit more, but it's still trying to get lap time out of this car. Any car around this circuit is not easy, especially, of course, these big rear-wheel drive vehicles. I wouldn't be surprised if we were behind the Audi. Not that I recorded the Audi lap time, not that I actually know at what point around the circuit the Audi was at any given time. I bet coming onto that rear straight, the Audi was ahead of the Zonda. The Zonda won because of its top speed and because of it's only 170 through that kink as well. It's not something the Audi could do. But there we go. That is our new leader. The Zonda will take the lead. And that was not, well, it's not the worst it could have been. Good fun, actually. The Zonda actually good fun car to drive in the snow. I recommend you give it a go. Surprisingly more forgiving than you might possibly expect. That, though, is going to be it for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.